but we'll start off. So just taking a look at the base of this, kind of thinking of geometry, is just kind of building off this elliptical shape. And from that part, this does have a center line, so if you can find the center, this is going to be larger in the foreground, smaller as it gets back, so I'm just going to kind of elevate it up here just to give us a point. And from the tangent, so you're thinking of geometry from this point here, is creating this line. Same on this opposite side, a symmetrical piece right there. And a little different than the cylinder, where the shading is going parallel all the way up. This one, the cone, is concentrically lined from here on out. So when you take a look, it has this section here. So I can start to give these hatch lines that kind of radiate from the top center midpoint of that elliptical shape, and just simply line up half of it. Now the texture of the paper will give you a little bit of help. The line on the opposite side is going to build it up off the side there as well. And as you start off, the highlight of this, it's going to have a little bit of a quarter tone, half tone, base tone. Everything's kind of building off of that same section. So I'm just putting a couple lines off there just to show as it wraps around the form, as it comes basically into there. So it's taking a look at geometry as well as the physics of it as well. So here's the darker value, kind of blending it in. All just hatch lines vertically coming off of that piece. And it's not until you kind of just get to the brightest highlight, leave that part there, and then coming around this side. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a heavier line at the base, and then start to build a section of these lines. And you notice that they're curving and getting smaller as they go to the top of the cone, concentrically rising, and take it all the way up to the top. And do the same again, kind of wrap around, and this time I'm stretching it out a little bit to encompass another value, so these values kind of come down in ribbons, and you can see as they overlap, they just soften right as they get mixed into the overall values. And then all the way to the edge, this part, so I'm kind of overlapping both what they call the base tone and then the reflected light, which is the light bouncing off of light rays that pass beyond the object. I can still go back in and take these lines vertically or concentrically to the point and just heavy up right where the base tone is, and that's kind of where the light turns the edge of any shape, and I can kind of get that section highlighted there and still build that piece. Now you notice there's a little bit of a cast shadow, and it also is the same shape. It goes dark to light, and it goes from the outside edge of this ellipse. The top part comes down, and it makes another cone shape, flat, and do the same thing. That's going to radiate, but it's going to be darkest at the base of the object where it touches the surface and builds that part across. So you can kind of see. And here it gets softer and more blurry and lighter as it gets further away. So there's your values in there, your distance. And as you slowly, you can go back into it and try to get that edge. And you can see that this base tone goes all the way to the top, and that's kind of your darkest value aside from where the object hits the surface there. And this is where you're trying to go. Wrapping that around. And again, where it's light against light, they have a background to it. You can see where it's dark against the light and light against the dark, so just kind of bring those lines up there like so. That's kind of your